Okay, in this lesson, we are going to UV map the wing and the elevator, but before we do that, I noticed that I do have an issue, so I'm going to show you that. I'm going to go to my show menu, and I'm going to isolate the wing so you can show you what has happened. Basically, what's happened is somewhere, I think I deleted an edge where I shouldn't have, and that's what has happened here. And it happens some point along the process. I don't know where exactly, but we do have to fix it. And this kind of thing happens all the time. And there's really not. I'll press the down arrow and move this out of the way to make sure I can get a clear view of what's happening. Okay, so what I've got is I've got some edges here that need to be deleted. That one there. I think looks like something I'm going to cut over to here like so, and I will target weld. There. Now I got to repair the fence going around the outside here. But what this brings up, the important point it brings up is that these kinds of things happen, and sometimes you don't find out about them until you're a little farther along in the pipeline than you might like. But the important point is to never panic and to recognize that making a change like that is part and parcel of modeling. It happens to everybody, especially when you're really in a hurry to try and, meet a deadline or to get as much information as you can. Alrighty. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge, and I'm going to select the edges that are now superfluous, and I'll delete them. I just hit delete because they're going from vertice to vertices, and I want to keep the vertices, and I don't have to worry about the rest of it. Now I've hit 3. I'm going to look to make sure everything is not malformed, and we are in pretty good shape. That looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to turn off my isolate. And now what I'm going to do is I will go back and delete history. And I'm going to grab both of these objects. I'll go to object mode. And I'm going to bring up my UV editor. These little interface buttons, they matter a lot. It used to be you had to go into the menu. Now you just click on this button and it shows up. Now when I click on this, I get my projection manipulator. Now I can rotate that manually, or it's a lot easier just to rotate, to click on it to zero it out and begin our rotation. We can see that what we really want is this to be rotated not to 90 in X. And that gives me a flat projection coming down in the Y-axis, and that's what I want. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to grab these two. I'll go to edges, and I know I've got an edge going around my elevator, so I'm going to cut like so, and then I'm going to go to UVs, and I'm going to grab one UV on the bottom, then I'm going to hold down my command key and go to shell. I'll move these out of the way, and I'm going to flip it vertically. The reason for that is going to be apparent. I'm going to move this up here for now. Actually, I may rotate it a bit, because what I want to do is it's like I'm unfolding this, and I could leave these two parts separate, but what I really want to do is I want to bind them probably about right there. And then I'll press this button, which is my select and bring those UV edges together. I'll select my UVs and shell, and then I'll go to polygons, unfold. I've got a pretty good edge on there, so I'll use the legacy method because the unfold 3D method is a little bit wonky. I'll reset my settings, go to legacy, click apply, and it flips, and that's okay. Flips a little bit, but that's a good looking shape, and it looks like it's fairly well organized. I'll do things a little bit differently with my wing. Because my wing, I'll go to edge, double click. I do have an edge going all the way around, and I'll cut it. And then I'll do it a little bit differently. I'll go to the UV and I'll grab the top UV and I will shell that one and move this out of the way for now, because now I've got to deal with the pinhole here. So I'm going to go to polygons. Actually, let me go to unfold and click apply. For some reason it's flipping and I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't want to do that one. I have too many iterations. Oh, there we go. There, that's better. I had no unfold constraints there. That may have been what caused it. Try this one again. Yeah, good. Okay, so that's what that's going to do. Is that's going to give me a shape that gives me a good mix. And notice I've got these polygons. These faces here are now part of the map. They're not edge on like these are. So that's kind of what I want for this. Now, to do the pin, I'm going to grab the wing. I'm going to do something a little bit odd. I'm going to isolate select it. And what I want to do is I want to cut out these side polygons. And this is one of those attention to detail things. I'm going to get the middle one, middle edge in both of these circumstances, and I'm going to slice this. I'll go back to UVs. Click here, and then I'm going to shell that little bit, and I'll move this out of the way. Okay. Now you can see these have been mapped in Y, and they are edge on, and they have no map space on this UV map, and that's bad. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change this to faces. Okay, and then I'm going to planar map these, and that will map them. Actually, that's the right direction. Okay, I'll go ahead and use my double click there, and I'm going to cut. UV shell, let's see where I'm at. Okay, so that's given me, it basically mapped in this direction. That's given me the facing, the UVs that are facing. That's good. So I'll grab this, flip it, and that means I should be able to pull these, and I'll grab these edges, then I'll hold down the control key and deselect these edges here, and I'll use the move and sew edges, and that moves that strip like so. Now what does that do for me? Well, what that does for me is that frees up this inside piece to kind of float freely on the map, so that when I unfold, it'll stay in a reasonable shape. If it doesn't, that's okay too, because I can select that bottom shape. Yeah. Go to shell, just move it out of the way, and it stays in the right shape, or the reasonably right shape, and I've got decent map presence on that piece. Again, not something which we may not see that shell, but I know it's there, and so I just go ahead, and it's good practice to allow for that. And I'm going to grab all of these, shell these pieces. Actually, let me grab that. Try that one more time. The other command is the optimize command, which looks to me to be pretty close to the relax command, except sometimes it doesn't quite work. There we go. It's still, try world space. That's better. It gave me a little bit more there. World space isn't quite as drastic as uniform, but it still gives us a pretty good, still gives us a decent relax. Basically, what you're trying to do is create shapes, create these polygons to basically have the same basic shape as what you see in the viewport. Now I'm going to grab these two and I'm going to lay them out. I'm going to go to Layout Options. This is a great command. I'll click apply, and it lays them out. It gives me the right space on that on the map. It's actually also in the right direction, which is good. That's because it went 90 degrees on me. But what I forgot was turn off isolate select, because I want to grab these tail shells as what the tail shell as well. And I want to lay that out. There we go. And so what we've done in this lesson, these shells are laid out on the map about as good as it's going to get, and they're sized appropriately. That's really the key to the layout command, is that it be sized properly. And basically having the prescale of world object, object shrinks it down a little bit. We're going to basically combine all of the UV shells, all of our UVs on the entire model, and we're basically going to create one big UV map for the whole thing, because we're going to be using a wood texture, but we can talk about that in later lessons. So in this lesson, we repaired some mistakes on the wing, and we UV mapped the elevator and the wing, and in the next lesson, I think we'll tackle the propeller.